taking the afternoon today to head out to the McDowell Mountain Preserves in Fountain Hills. I think I'm going to ride the long loop out there and maybe the sport loop also, depending on how I'm feeling. The long loop's really fun, kind of varied terrain, but still a little cross-country-ish. Nothing really tech on it. So it'll be a nice break from the last ride I did at High Ridge that was pretty technical and a little out of my wheelhouse. Hopefully I can get back into that technical wheelhouse here eventually. As I've said before, I've only really fully been back in a regular riding schedule since March, and my balance has kind of been off since my transplant and all the weird things that happened to me during and after it. So hopefully I can spend the next year here really getting back at it and be able to do some really fun and a little bit harder stuff. So I will see you out on the trail. Okay, change of plans. They had the competitive loop slot closed for a race. I don't know of any mountain bike race out here this weekend, but sometimes they do trail running races. So we are riding the Pemberton loop instead. Much longer loop, much easier, but it's about 15 miles. So I'm hoping we can beat the darkness. It's getting dark a little after 5. It's 3:21 right now. Today is the first, I think it's the first day in the 70s here. October 29th. Yep, Halloween in 2 days. This part's fun. You never know what you're gonna get because the rain used to go up and over this. Had a little bit of trail there. It was fun. It's all washed out. Ooh. Wrong side. You can have some good animal encounters out here. See deer. I had a rabbit that was stalking me the last time I rode it at night a couple months ago, and every time I'd get like a half mile and there was that same rabbit, it would run right in front of me like it was trying to make me flip my bike. It was a huge rabbit, probably the size of a bobcat. I mean, massive jackrabbit. But I don't know why it was stalking me like that. Once we round the corner of this bridge, there's a tough little climb, and it's chunky for a couple miles. Really just, it's not technical at all. It's just, the trail's just filled with rocks, baby heads, and rocks embedded in the soil. It's a real grind. It's a little easier on the e-bike, I would say. Even though e-bike just kind of levels the playing field for me, I feel. Some stuff is just a little easier than it was on the analog bike for me even. Of course I could take it off boost when I'm doing it, and it would probably be harder than it was on a regular bike for me, but take me way longer and I'll wear me out even more. Well, it's kind of windy today. Anyone used an Osmo Action 5 and a wind muff? I just don't know where you would put one. I've asked on a couple Facebook communities and nobody's responded, except to tell me to try it without a wind muff. When I was asking if anyone used a wind muff and what they use. All right, here we go. You know, I've listened to Brian Kennedy BKXC's suggestion to just let your nose run and not hear the sniffling, but I don't think that's possible for me. My allergies are so bad. As I mentioned in my other video, I've had sinus surgery and all kinds of stuff. I was listening to Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska on the way out here. Such a great record. He was on Howard Stern a few days ago. Prompted me to put it on. He's definitely an artist that I've always really liked, but I don't listen to enough. He probably deserves my attention more. I'm pretty fond of depressing music, like the album Nebraska, and you know, everything from Radiohead to Pink Floyd to Anathema to some sad gothy stuff. Radiohead's probably in my top 5 bands of all time, I would say. Despite my heavy metal and punk rock background, they just do it for me. I listen to all kinds of stuff anyways, always have. My parents were really into 50s, 60s, and 70s rock, but my mom liked some more contemporary 80s stuff and John Denver and all kinds of goofy stuff like that too. My dad was also into a good amount of country, and my grandparents were really into country, old time country stuff. I spent a lot of time in the mountains with my grandparents when I was a kid. They had a cabin in Heber, Arizona that was always kind of one of my happy places. My family sold it a couple years ago when my grandmother passed away, and it was really sad, but none of us could really afford to buy all the others out or keep it in the family. But I can still talk my wife into going up to Heber sometimes and renting a cabin, hanging out. Really remote place near Payson. It's in between Payson and Pine Top, Arizona. Show Low, where the White Mountains are. A lot of mountain biking up there. None in Heber. Well, there's a rim trail that goes by there on the Mogollon Rim. I don't know how really rideable it is. These are all the rocks that I mentioned earlier. And now, right when I say that, it's pretty clear. So yeah, I've always kind of wandered around musically. Listened to a lot of different stuff, from pop to black metal to hardcore to indie rock. You know, Jimmy Eat World is probably one of my favorite bands locally. Jim Adkins, the singer, did an acoustic fest for me, or an acoustic set, excuse me, when my best buddy Matt put on an online benefit festival for me during COVID when I was getting my transplant. He did a few songs and shouted me out, really made me feel amazing. He's such a nice guy. We're not thick as thieves, but I've known him for a long time as like an acquaintance and buddy, and somebody that I'm always happy to see when I do see him, and we chat online some. Oof, rocky. Just such a nice guy. It's pretty amazing that he would take the time out to be there for little old me when I was in need. It was a really amazing fest. I might ask my friend Michelle if I can host some of the videos on this channel from the online fest. Had everything from Exhumed, did a set. One of my favorite bands, Fall Silent. David Pajo from Slint and Papa M, and you know, a million other bands. Interpol, yes, he did a set. We got Chipmunk, Drop Dead. Who else? Bob Bruno from Best Coast did a fun synth thing in an Easter Bunny head. It's kind of trippy, but really cool. Panopticon did an acoustic banjo set. They're a cool black metal band that's like socialist working class type lyrics. Really cool guys. I'm sure there's some I can't think of it, and then like a ton of great locals did set for me. It's one of the best things I've ever experienced. You know, being in recovery a few weeks after my transplant and seeing all these people come together for me, it was really heartwarming. And then some friends did testimonials, and my buddy Raul that played drums in Landmine Marathon for a while, and Impaled, Ghoul, and then Brendan from Groundwork, Jason Netherton, Misery Index, Dying Fetus. Really just amazing. And of course my buddy Matt Martinez, who put it all together, is the most amazing. Just I feel like he would do anything for me, and I would do the same for him. But man, he really upped the ante on that one. He wouldn't let me do a benefit when he got sick for a while. He's so humble and modest. See, I like a lot of kind of depressing country stuff, like Springsteen's Nebraska or Jason Isbell. You know, Americana, I guess you could classify that stuff, but you know, Sturgill Simpson, Coulter Wall, all the kind of minor key country stuff that's modern is pretty good. Even stuff like Shane Smith and the Saints, and they're not so depressing, but kind of epic songs. Of course, Willie Nelson and all that, Merle, Waylon, the classics. I wouldn't call those guilty pleasures, but I definitely have some guilty pleasures. What are some of yours? Let me know. As long as it's not new metal. Really cool thing about this Pemberton loop is that they have these little ramadas here that you can stop and rest at and fix your bike. There's usually a pump that doesn't work, but it makes for some good resting points. This one's fairly new. Last few years they built it, and there's one at the very top of this ride that's right, I think about just past the 8 mile mark, and it's a place where I usually stop, but I felt like I wanted to stop here and get some better light. And I just got to show a lot of appreciation for the people that build this stuff and keep it nice. It's really cool. That new water bottle is really holding up well. I'm surprised it's staying in my cage, but it's working out pretty good. Keeps the water insanely cold. On the first ride, I made the mistake of putting too much ice in it and only got a little bit of fluid out of it. And at the end of the ride, it was still just jam-packed with ice, and I don't know, I probably got only 7 or 8 ounces of electrolytes out of it. So if you buy one, just put a few ice cubes in it and it'll keep it cold all day. So really great kind of cross-country ride. I think a lot of XC racers train out here. You can do a ton of miles without a ton of tech, but still be on dirt and have some good hill climbing. A little ridge coming up soon that I don't know why, but it just gives me a lot of joy every time I cross it. It's really brief, but you feel like you're right on top of everything. It's really cool. Some of this is real smooth, machine made type trails. That's why I say it's great for XC. The competitive loops, well, at least the long loop's more hand-built type trail. A little more chunky. Really wanted to ride those today, but they shut them down on me. Oh, this is that ridge that I was talking about. It's really cool. I don't know why I like it so much, but you're just riding on top of this berm overlooking all this valley, mountains in the background. Beautiful. And then that's it. Trying to think of some other more depressing music I'm into. There's a lot, but of course I get out here and none of it comes to mind. I love the doom metal genre too, though I don't really find most of it depressing. It's just heavy, loud. Now there's some more melodic and kind of gothic doom stuff that I find can invoke a little more emotion. These quail running. Stuff like, I don't know, My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost. Catatonia, although a lot of their stuff's a little more shoegaze oriented. Oh boy. A lot of that old Peaceville Records doom stuff. There's a little chunkier climb. Oh. Okay. The last 7 miles of this loop, after I get to the top, is all green trail downhill. So it's really smooth. Machine cut trails also, but you can go super fast. I usually do that 7 miles in about, I don't know, probably 20 minutes. It's a little slippery in some spots, but you just watch your speed in the turns and you can stay pretty fast. And you can really cruise that last 7 miles. Oh boy. I really got to start stretching more and I can get really down and dirty on those turns better. I feel like my body is a piece of lumber. Oh, here's where the fire was. Bummer. There was a pretty bad fire out in this area and it hit some of the park. Wow. The grass is already all grown back, but it was within the last 2 months. Wow, it's really, really scorched up here. That's sad. I don't know how much of it you can see with the sun hitting me directly. They had to evacuate some homes even up in this area. In the summer, it's just, well, in the winter too, honestly, it's just so dry and it'll catch fire and spread so fast. Lightning strikes, man-made, either way. I don't remember how this one started. Real sad though. Probably kills a lot of animals too, unfortunately. The good thing about a fire in the desert is that it's not these massive tall trees. So they'll grow back pretty quick, but still hate to see it and think of all those animals that died. Like right there, a wasteland. Some of these little dips, I remember trees hitting me in the face. They're all burnt back. Oh, the cactus. Wow, this is gnarly. That sucks. Terrible. Yeah, one of those dips right there, I remember getting hit in the face almost every time by a tree. It's reduced to stems now. Look at this. Almost at the top here. But I just can't recognize where I'm at. Looks so different. Oh man, I think I know right where this is now. Looks nothing like it used to. I don't know what's squeaking on my back. Oh yeah, I know right where this is. What the heck? Unrecognizable. They graded this climb too. This used to be really rocky. It was a cool climb, but they must have had to bring vehicles back in here. Because I think if I get right over this hill, it's the next Ramada. Let's see. Yep, there's a Ramada. Wow. No, this part didn't get burned. But they took all this technical stuff out of this little descent in that climb. All the rocks are gone. Wow, real bummer to see all that land burnt up. It didn't hit this little Ramada area, but man, it got a lot of the upper half of the south side of Pemberton. Just really, really tragic, burnt out. It'll grow back, but it still sucks to see. This is the other Ramada. Used to have a really cool skeleton up there. Not sure what happened to that. Would have been fun to see on Halloween. Not sure what happened, but really cool that this is here. Okay, let's head back to the truck. Curious to see. Oh, it looks like. Oh no. Oh, maybe this stuff was burnt. I don't think so though. Oh yeah. It's burnt. Wow, the brush grew back fast. So I'm curious to see how much it hit this side. As I think it winds back a little. So yeah, music has shaped my life, as I've talked about it already on this channel. I used to do this ride non-stop, and I'd wear some bone conduction headphones and just haul butt. Hey. Oh.
How you doing?
Hi. Thought he said good morning, not one more. I usually ride with a bell, but it doesn't really work for filming videos if I'm going to talk. So I guess my bell days are over unless I'm not filming. I had a real crazy experience out here with some music. I would just put on a couple hours worth of albums and just see what played, you know, everything from Iron Maiden to Lana Del Rey to some Drop Dead or really fast hardcore. I find that I can get motivated whether the music's high energy or not. I just like to hear all kinds of music. So yeah, there was probably 2 months between when I was diagnosed with Wilson's disease and me just not being able to even lift my bike onto the rack anymore. And I was riding this part a little bit lower where it gets really fast, and I was listening to Torch's last album, Admission, I think it's called. And boy, it's really heavy and ethereal, and I was just hauling butt down this, but thinking about how there's a good chance I wasn't going to be around soon. A real high chance. So I just remember riding down this for the 20-ish minutes it takes with that music playing in the background and tears in my eyes. Just kind of feeling that it was over. You know, when your parent dies of the same thing, it's pretty easy to lose hope of making it. And we saw how unfair the transplant lists were back in the 90s with her. But it's changed a lot. There's still a chance, you know. I can't remember the numbers exactly, but they said like 20% of people that get on the list make it to transplant or get a transplant. I'll have to look that up. But that was a real emotional experience that I'll never ever forget. Just coming down this trail on the real fast sections and listening to that album. Oops, I'm crying. What are some records and moments that moved you like that? To me, records can really be connected to time and place and emotion. There's something that really takes you back to a time and place that was moving or sad or happy. Looks like the fire hit this section. I didn't get everything. Just a few sections out here, it seems. But I guess I'll know better when I get through with the trail. This section's really fun. I just wish it was a little more banked. I mean, there's some banks here and there, but a lot of those turns you gotta really watch your speed because of it's flat. But there's the kitty litter on top of the hard packed ground that can make you slip. Your bikes just slip out from under you if you don't lean just right. Usually you talk about that and then you fall right after. Let's hope that doesn't happen. What do you guys think of the sound on the last couple of videos? I just started doing a high pass filter to take off some of the real low end and maybe get some of that wind noise out of there. But I feel like maybe my voice is a little too bassy. It gets a little hard to understand. I mean, my voice is super low. Whoops, I should have hit that harder. I'd have to clean this part up. I don't know, like, I feel it's just got a little bit of bubbly bass in it that if I tuck that down a little with some EQ, it would help. Now there's like 100 to 400 people watching every video, so I know somebody's gonna see this and could tell me. And man, my last mountain biking short got 1,600 plays over the last few days. No idea why. The other ones have 600 or 700. Even the snake one has way less than that one. Huh, I wonder what this is. Javelina 100. Must be a running race. These runners are pretty amazing sometimes. My friend Justin, in the last year, went from, I don't think he was really exercising at all, to just ran a marathon on his own. And I follow his Strava, and a lot of times his running miles will be more than my mountain biking miles. Granted, you double your mountain bike miles to equal road miles on the road bike, but still, pretty impressive. This stuff's not much different than riding the road right here. It's just slippery and twistier. But the first half of Pemberton is definitely mountain biking, but more cross country. Not anything technical. I just put a video up that I worked really hard on, my first multicam talking head video, vlog. I did a brief one last week with a single cam, but this one's a story, kind of just a brief synopsis about my life. If you're interested, I'd love if you checked it out. I'll try and remember to put a link at the end of this. And please subscribe and interact, and maybe we'll even become friends. You don't know. This tree is how I know I'm almost back at the lot. Cruise right around that and you know you're almost there. That was a fun ride. I really wanted to do the long loop and get a little bit more chunk in the ride, but had to compromise and do Pemberton. Felt pretty good today. It went fairly easy, and a little confidence rebuilder after trying High Ridge last week and it not going exactly as I had hoped. And we had a nice little chat about music, so good day overall. I'll see you on the next one.